Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Newsline Live. My guest this evening is a member of the SJB, and he's not far from here actually. He's from Dumpe, but he's right here with us this evening, and we're delighted to welcome him again on our program, the one and only Mr. Harshana Rajakaruna. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you.
You're looking good.
Thank you, and you.
Thank you. Now then, but the country, the economy isn't looking good. Mr. Premadasa sort of alluded to it heading towards an economic Armageddon, which heaven forbid should it happen. But what is your take, your party's take? What are the key things that you may embark upon when it looks to me that the public are leaning towards the SJB, and so you all must be having your plans? What are the key components, or what are the key things you'd start doing as soon as you wrest power?
Faraz, thank you for inviting to me. Good evening to all. I think the main problem we have is that this whole economy is run in an ad hoc basis. So if SJB is in power, we'll have to do a lot of things right. We have to change the whole system, where I believe that the economy is impacted by many things, the macro stuff I'm talking about. Say, for example, rule of law. So rule of law, it is a prerequisite to have a better economy. Unfortunately, this incumbent government, they have not kept their word. Then international treaties, they have not kept their word on those things. They have gone back. So all these things will affect the economy. For example, investors, not only the foreign investors, even the local investors. You have to have rule of law. You have to have an independent judiciary. You don't want a big company to come and invest, and next day the law changes, and you are imposed of, say, 25% tax, or the government acquires that investment. So we have to change all these things now. For example, GSP plus. With the greatest difficulty, we got back the GSP plus. We lost the GSP plus tax advantage, and now we are almost about to lose it. So why? The main reason is that the macro issues are not sorted out, and that will affect the economy at the moment.
So what you're saying is that the rule of law is one of these key things that you'll be looking at.
Absolutely.
And also a planned economy.
Exactly. And not only that, we have to make sure that there's investors are willing to come, and there's an ease of business. Also, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to start your investments here. So we have to have a like a advanced BOI mechanism, one-stop shop mechanism. Our leader, opposition leader Sajid Premdas, was saying, probably at the presidential secretariat itself, we should have an investment branch, where the priority is given and high recognition is given, and everything is done even from the head of the state itself, because that important investment is. And so we also have the biggest problem that is currently facing is that ad hoc decisions that made. Now, for example, the tax cuts that they did at the very beginning, those tax cuts were not benefited towards the grassroots level or the normal consumers. It was to the elite, I would say, very high-end business enterprises.
So it cost the government a lot of money.
A lot of money. And during our time, we brought that income tax bill, and we through the parliament, we managed to increase the income of the government income from probably almost doubled from 1 trillion to almost 2 trillion.
Yeah.
So we were strong. We were able to make our expenses. And also, with this situation, I think that we, if we get into power, we need to prioritize our expenses. Because, you see the deficit is so high. What we can do is reduce expenses. Now, when I'm saying reducing expenses, we need to prioritize your expenses. For example, for us, do we really need at this moment another highway? Right? Okay, the Kandy highway is halfway done. Yes, we need to continue the rest of it, because we can't have from Mirigama to Kurunagala only, right?
But we take your point about the highway to Kandy, because anyway, Kandy is a big stop it's a must-stop place for tourists.
Even though whether it's a must-stop or not, it's halfway done. So we need to continue. But do we need another highway? So with all these issues we are facing as a country, do we need to spend so much of money for another highway? Shouldn't we spend that amount of money for the 80% of small and medium enterprises to revive that economy? So, we need to prioritize these expenses.
And I suppose in the same sort of vein, although I am told that this may now be off the books, but do we really need all these walking places, jogging places, and the portable gyms?
So that's the other example that I was about to make. So do we need those? Do we really need 2 billion rupees worth of walking tracks? Do we need 700 or 800 million rupees worth of gym equipment? So we need to prioritize what we really need, and also there's a lot that we can reduce just so that our deficit will reduce, because we are globally as well as in Sri Lanka, we are all facing a tough time.
Now, you come from your constituencies in the Gampa district, right?
That's right.
So what about the farmers there? You do have farming there.
Of course.
Well, what's happening there at the ground level? What is your public day? You must be having public day in your constituency.
Yes.
What do you hear most there?
So unfortunately, not only in my area, all the farmers in the country is facing a huge issue where because I don't think even the government knows what the policy is about on fertilizer.
Yeah.
Every other day it changes. It's so sad that for the last 1 year this government has been talking about organic farming, and now they have gone back and changed it. So the main reason, I think, is not anything other than, again, the government doesn't want to give a subsidy, so that since it's too expensive, they can't afford it. They don't have the money. They can't afford it. So the biggest issue with this organic farming policy, I would say this would have been the best time to bring. I believe that there should be organic farming. I believe that it shouldn't have happened this fast. We should have had stages for it. And I don't believe that it can be 100% organic country. But if we are to bring it bring this policy, we should have done it in a more systematic manner. And also we should have decided, the government should have decided that this is probably not the right time to introduce such a policy, because agriculture and the plantation sector were the probably two sectors that was functioning pretty well with this COVID situation.
Do you think that all this seems to indicate a lack of consultancy, a lack of listening to the experts, a lack of planning?
Pure ignorance, Faraz, pure ignorance.
But they had all these, Viat Maga and all sorts of things, all professionals. Where were they when...
Viat Maga?
Yes, what is it? You haven't
heard of that for a long time.
No, right.
No.
Well, this is what I mean.
So, exactly.
So they had all these people who propelled our president to victory at the end of the day.
Faraz, it's common sense, isn't it? When the whole country is facing an economic crisis, the only sector that is least affected by the COVID situation would have been plantation and the agriculture sector. Why introduce at this moment such a policy that will cripple the whole industry? So now not only the farmers, even the consumers are facing a huge crisis, where you have to pay 3 times more now. If you go to the market, you have to face 3 times more.
And on that, we could also point out that generally speaking, organic produce costs more than
of course
the normal stuff.
Of course.
Although the president is very mindful and cares for the people's health, I put it to you that we are into 73 years of our independence, and the life expectancy in 1948 was, I think, 52, I think. And now, of course, it's as of 2020, it was about 73. And in between, we've never relied on anything more than 2.5% of organic produce. So I put it to you that there's nothing really wrong, and I don't know why we ought to start fixing it. But would you agree that eventually, if it is a green economy, that itself has plenty of plus points for Sri Lanka to market?
I think it has to happen gradually, and I don't believe that it can be 100% organic thing. And I don't think that this whole policy was brought because of the health reasons. I believe that it's because they don't have the money to bring fertilizer, and also now they have reversed, all the gazettes are reversed to bring, so that the private sector can bring
organic
chemical fertilizer,
yes.
right? So if the private sector fertilizer is put to the soil, you don't think health reasons disappear.
Well,
only if the government provides.
But my suspicious mind, and thank you very much for all your comments, including someone talking about our attire, which is very nice. Thank you. But there are also several questions here. I can see through it here that they're asking us about the cost of living and the cost of corruption. And perhaps we'll come back to that after our little break, in which we shall be looking at this evening's headlines from our wonderful primetime news team. We'll see you on the other side of the break. How about the cost of living, the corruption?
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I'm in conversation with the Member of Parliament from the Gampar district for the SJB, Mr. Harshana Rajakaruna. Now then, Mr. Rajakaruna, can you tell me, lots of people are asking us the same question. It's all to do with the cost of living. What sort of plans has the SJB got to address this very significantly serious issue?
I mean, the cost of living is a part of a mismanaged economy. So, I mean, it's the same things that I mentioned before, that, we need to rectify the macro issues so that we can get the economy on track. So then the inflation will go down. Now, in this month is the highest percentage in the recent history, 8.3%. I mean, that's,
can we blame it all on?
That's a percentage that they are saying, but the actual percentage is probably 15%, I would say.
Right.
So yes, I blame it on the government.
Yes, how would the SJB do that? I mean, reducing corruption is one thing, and having a planned economy is another one.
Yes.
And of course, you mentioned the rule of law, and
prioritizing expenses, and also cutting expenses. The unwanted expenses. So we have to.
In the last year government, of which your party's the other side, the UMP, they had this super gains tax. They called it a one-off. This government has also produced something similar. Will there be more and more taxes? Is that part of the SJB?
No, the thing is, we have to learn that the super gain tax during that time, the previous government, it was not a successful thing.
Right.
And so
there you are. That's the good thing about this, because you are openly admitting to something. And whereas
so I don't know why they are repeating it. I don't know why they are repeating it. When we have experienced in the very recent past that it was not a successful issue, they have done it. But I understand, at this moment, the government needs money, and they're probably taxing the high-end 60 companies in the country. But on the other side, when you introduce such taxes, such ad hoc decisions, will another investor look at Sri Lanka? Because they are worried that we can't take the money back, the profit, what you are making, you can't take it back to Sri Lanka. So
well, you can, but you have to change it from foreign currency.
Those issues are there. So unfortunately, we have to really take right decisions at the moment. Otherwise, we will be a bankrupt country.
I want to now take you to today is, of course, the International Day to protect
to eliminate violence against
women. Now, having said that, there was some blessed incident in that place over there which you belong to, the Parliament, which costs us a lot of money, us, the people. But there was something very uncharitable said there. And what do you think should happen to this Member of Parliament? His name, Tissa Kuttiarachi.
I think it's very sad. One thing I have to say, the Speaker, on behalf of the members, apologized. And still he had the audacity to even after the Speaker apologized, he was making some comments. Why should he apologize? Talking like that. So
what do you think should happen to him? Should he be suspended?
Absolutely. I think today is a very important day, where it's the International Day.
Do your male colleagues understand that this is simply not on?
Absolutely. So I would like to explain what we did in Parliament today as well. So today, being the International Day for eliminating violence against women, as a mark of protest for what the government member said, and also since it's a specific day, we were all we all had a sticker mentioning stop violence against women, and for 16 days there's something called the orange color
So that's I believe
campaign.
that your campaign is going
Yes.
all around the country tomorrow.
Yes, and also as a political party, not only in the parliament, but as a political party, we are doing for the next 16 days these awareness programs, trying to educate the public, especially us being males, that we need to step up in eliminating violence against women.
This is a hypothetical question, which somebody is posing me, and I thought it was a jolly good one. If it's hypothetical, so suppose that your leader, Mr. Premadasa, decides to contest for the presidency himself, as opposed to getting a proxy that has been done in the past, the UMP. Do you think he'll choose a female person as the running mate to be the Prime Minister?
That's a good question. A question that you should ask him
I'll save that for him when he comes on my program.
But
yes.
I have to say this. I don't think there's a problem in a female running partner. I fully encourage that.
Do you have female MPs in your party in Parliament?
Yes. Should have been more, but we have, unfortunately, we have only two members, Mrs. Thalata Atugorala and Rohini Kaiviratna. But I believe that there's absolutely no problem with that. Personally, and also as a party, we believe that we believe in equal opportunity.
And thank you very much for your questions and some of the statements, actually. I'll read one because it's sort of in the news. The new news is that gas cylinders are exploding. If this happens in an apartment complex, it will be catastrophic. Do you see something in there? Or have you not?
No, I have. There has been about 4 incidences in the very recent past, and I believe that the authorities should really look into this because even personally, when I mean, even me, I was worried in my own household what will happen. So I think this is a very serious matter, and some say that there's the combinations of
the composition
of those particular gases is the problem. So I think the relevant authority should really look into it and give us explanation.
And even more questions about that all the economic indicators are all in the reverse direction, which is going back to this U-turn business. How committed is the SJB to improving the lot of farming and farmers in general? Because in other countries, in robust democracies and in mature economies, we see that farmers are rather pretty well-to-do bunch of people, but that's completely the opposite here in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, it's very sad, unfortunately. I think the biggest problem the Sri Lankan farmers are facing is lack of new technology. I think that is a must, that we have to introduce new technology where we get, because we have limited land. So our output, the yield, needs to pick up. So that is the main thing that we should focus on. So
and what about education? Because we've still got only around between 30 and 45,000 graduate positions, university places, and surely that is far from enough to take Sri Lanka out of this 3,800 near $4,000 per capita GDP rut. I call it a rut because we're still there. We're trying to pop out of it, but we can't.
Yeah, education is. I was previously talking about farming. So education is an overall thing. It's a macro issue where we need to not only increase the slots in university, but technical education, second, tertiary education, that whole sector has to improve, and also those vocational and tertiary education has to cater the demand which is there. Most of these what do you call this academia courses, when you finish it, it's not it's not worth it because you can't find a job.
Which means that the curriculum needs to be changed and more focused.
Absolutely.
Is that something that the SJB will be looking at very closely?
100%.
Right. We are just about to finish, and somebody's asking us, what's your SJB's stance on the investigations into the Easter bomb attacks?
I personally believe that it's not going anywhere. I believe there's a conspiracy. I believe the only way to find the truth is to have an international investigation. Whether it's Scotland Yard, I don't know what. We have to have an international investigation.
Is that just to keep the balance and the focus?
No, because I don't know. Now, former Attorney General says that there's a conspiracy. By the looks of it, I believe there's a conspiracy. So why not have an international investigation?
On that note, thank you very much, Harshana Rajakarna, for being on Newsline Live. We appreciate your presence and your upfront and open answers. On that note, it's now time for the primetime news from News First. Take care and have a great evening, and as always, God bless you.